Good day everyone, I'm Mary Paula Natividad and I'm going to discuss about economies of scale, and this is economies of scale. Economies of scale. Firms with greater market share might be in position to reap economies of scale, decreases in cost per unit as output increases. Other mean it is a proportionate saving in cost gained by an increased level of production. This happens because costs are spread over a larger number of goods. Economies of scale allow firms to spread their fixed costs over a larger output. This happens because costs are spread over a larger number of goods. Costs can be both fixed and variable. Next is employ specialized systems and equipment. So this is because workers would be better qualified for a specific job and would no longer be spending extra time learning to do work that's not within their specialization. Next is take advantage of certain physical properties, like big box stores can stock more merchandise and handle inventory efficiently. So this is the graph of economies of scale, minimum efficient scale, and these economies of scale. So the U-shaped function drawn tangent to the various short-run cost curves represent the long-run average cost curve and illustrates the concept of economies of scale. An important point of graph is that long-run average cost curve is U-shaped because of the phenomenon known as economies of scale. Next is diseconomies of scale. Increases in cost as output increases. Economies of scale are cost advantages reaped by companies when production becomes efficient. Companies can achieve economies of scale by increasing production and lowering costs. For example, Walmart's everyday low prices are due to its huge buying power. Managerial economies of scale occur when large firms can afford specialists. They more effectively manage particular areas of the company. Next is learning curve. Learning curve were the first document aircraft in manufacturing as the United States ramped up production in the 1930s prior to its entry into World War II. Learning curve, the rate of a person's progress in gaining experience or new skills. An example of where a learning curve can be applied could be a measurable task like a factory worker learning to operate a new machine that requires specific, repeatable steps. As the worker learns to operate the machine following the procedural steps, he becomes faster and more proficient at using it. Every time production was doubled, the per unit cost dropped by a predictable and constant rate. Next is gaining competitive advantage through leveraging learning and experience curve effects. From A to B, it is economies of learning. However, this differs from economies of scale because economies of learning do not stop at a certain level. They keep on improving efficiency. A classic example of this, which is often cited, is Japan's market leadership from the 1980s and technology-intensive goods such as TVs and audio equipment. Next is firm B2C. It is process innovation. One of the most famous and groundbreaking examples of process innovation is Henry Ford's invention of the world's first moving assembly line. This process changed not only simplified vehicles assembly but shortened the time necessary to produce a single vehicle from 12 hours to 90 minutes. The last firm, C2D, is experience. Another example is email accounts. The more there are, the more efficient the network is, the lower everyone's cost per utility of using it. Shared experience effects. Experience curves effects are reinforced when two or more products share a common activity or resource. There are some important differences between economies of scale and learning effects. Learning effects occur over time as output is accumulated, while economies of scale are captured at one point in time when output is increased. Some production processes effect from economies of scale can be quite significant, while learning effects are minimal. Also, the economies of scale are outcome of long-run production under which the scale of the operation of the firm increases. On the other hand, learning effect is possible both in the short run as well as the long run production. Next is experience curve. The concept of an experience curve attempts to capture both learning effects and process improvements. In this perspective, economies of learning allow movement down a given learning curve based on current production technology. By moving further down a given learning curve than competitors, a firm can gain a competitive advantage. In 1960, management consultants at Boston and Consulting Group observed this concept. It states that the more the experience a firm has in producing in a particular product, the lower its cost. The experience curve has important strategic implications. If a firm is able to gain market share over its competitors, it can develop a cost advantage. The more competitors that pursue this strategy, the higher the cost of gaining a given market share and the lower the return on investment. Next is process innovation. A new method or technology to produce an existing product may initiate a new steeper learning curve. Innovation is defined as the process of making an idea or invention into a good or service that creates value and or for which customers will pay. There are many different types of examples of innovation, such as social innovation, incremental innovation, and open innovation, among others. And it also increases your chances to react to changes and discover new opportunities. It can also help foster competitive advantage as it allows you to build better products and services for your customers.